Tonight, we're turning up the charm and throwing our cosmic wink because even the ethers love to be seduced on LOL.
I don't just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff.
And you can thank me for covering your astro.
Welcome to Leading Out Loud, the shift show serving spiritual realness with a sassy twist. I'm psychic astrologer Christopher Wotecki, the sensei to SeriousStory.com.
And I'm Scott Cruz, psychic medium with ScottCruzPM.com.
And I was coming in there, Scott, realizing that like that last note on the open just lasts forever. Is it not?
Well, you know, in production, you have to like leave sustaining note to give it time for your editors and those who are throwing it up to fade and mix out and have plenty of space for that. So it's not intended to be completely, left.
It's our tech and our ability to fade. Well, we've had an interesting week. Yeah, it's been an interesting week, actually. A lot of things changing, as we had suspected, at least here at Serious Joy, with the sun in Leo, changes of heart, but also changes of some headlines as well. For instance, we had Ozzy Osbourne crossover in the last week, which is kind of interesting in just the sense of this moment. What do you pick up anything on that, buddy?
Well, it was interesting because it's almost like I feel like he knew because like he performed and like, he was on stage like sitting down his last show and I'm coming home and all that stuff. So I feel like he kind of knew, ahead of time. So
don't we have to though? I mean, don't we have to? I mean, I would think how can we not?
Well, some people don't. I mean, some people like surprise, shock the moment, because channeling dead people all the time. There's always different, right?
Yeah.
Some knew, some didn't. Yeah, and so I feel like they probably instinctually knew it was his time, and so I think it seemed like it was perfect timing actually, especially with Hulk Hogan.
When I first crossed over and connected to my dad's spirit, not directly, but just about him, and they were like, he was shocked. He did not expect that to happen.
Right.
And I was like, oh, really? But that's him, of course, but it's funny. But I think some people elect. I think you can just like choose it when you come down.
What would you prefer? I mean, would you want to know? Or would you, want to just not know?
No, I'm pretty sure the deal is don't tell me. Just come up behind me, knock me over the head.
I would just go in my sleep and call it a day. I'm like sleep and I never wake up and they're just like, oh, God, is that you?
Certainly the most breeziest, most comfortable, kind of like kids these days are all having C-sections. They're not being born like to the trauma of birth. Like,
right.
We're avoiding birth trauma already in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we also lost Hulk Hogan this week as well, which is interesting because they're kind of the same breed in a weird way. Like, I don't know why, but vibrationally they feel similar, don't they? They kind of feel similar.
Weren't they kind of around the same age? Like they were in the 70s, so kind of same generation.
Which is young, in my opinion. I mean,
I just feel the
drug. Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like Hulk Hogan too on the steroids, and whatever he was taking, could have like really impacted his body, his health, and his heart, But I just feel the timing so weird,
Well, really, I don't, because that's the thing. It's the sun in Leo, so like this time of year, the sun's in Leo. It's like you're seeing if your heart's in it. Like that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing in trans. Is like, is my heart really in this anymore? Like, I don't know. It's like when we get lost and we sway. And I think, the entire planet has swayed, since Atlantis. I mean, on one level, like we've never gone after joy really as our goal ever. So we haven't done that like on that pedestal. But and then all of us have never had any good times in past lives, and we've had.
Hulk Hogan was also Leo too, wasn't he? Hulk was a Leo.
I think so, actually. Yeah, August.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, 1953. Yeah,
to die in Leo season as a Leo.
Ozzy, of course, was a Sag, and he made a long time for a Sag. I'm kidding, but like he, as far as partying is concerned, because Jim Morrison, we've seen other Sages go too far with music, drugs, alcohol, etc.
Right,
and,
of course.
Very,
very, very free spirited that way. Yeah.
Jupiter's what they're putting planets. They can definitely overboard it easy, because they have Jupiter, the most energy in the planet in the system, right?
Yeah.
Then the earthquake and tsunami yesterday, like in where I'm at here. I don't know about you. You're way up in the mountains, so you're feeling safe, but like. Suddenly it comes out here that's like, oh, there's a tsunami heading for California. I was like, what? So, but it looks like it came from an earthquake in Russia. But what I find interesting about this is that it was like obviously nothing happened. We're all here, but it's now in our awareness.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I don't know if you remember me telling you this, like before I moved, I kept saying that I felt, and I don't think this is the occurrence, I felt like an earthquake happening, affecting like either coming from Japan and affecting the West Coast and Southern California. I was feeling that for a
You
while,
did say
and then I
that.
felt like some sort of like a nuclear spillage or some sort of something in the air that was, you know what I mean? I don't know if
That's how
this
he
is
leaves
it.
me in town. He's like, I'm moving to Palm Springs. There's something in the air, nuclear spillage,
Enjoy.
I think.
Yeah, enjoy. So, and oddly enough, I was telling someone about this, and they had a psychic that they talked to in like Europe, and they had said the same exact thing.
Oh.
So, you said before the show that you thought this kind of like fire shots or just kind of like a warning signal, you know, about this. Not that the earthquake itself was fake, but just the media attention on that. I think a lot of and preparing for tsunamis and all that stuff affecting the West Coast and all that. I think that was thrown in as a kind of as a warning. I feel for some.
Well, either Mother Earth or the deep state, one of the two. Like one of the two
One or the other.
is sending. Yeah,
So
it could be Mother
line.
Earth. I mean, a lot of people said. I mean, all the way back to the Mayans, like the Mother Earth was going to have a moment here. Like other prophecies say this is a moment where my Mother Earth kind of goes through a transformation herself. If that woman is pregnant, okay, with the new Earth, and she's being told to go higher frequency, I think we're all in for a lot of trouble. I'm just saying, like,
well, the Earth has been constipated for a while too, and so
that's just
I mean,
but that could be a warning. Like Mother Earth's got gas. Like, watch out, Mother Earth's got gas. We are
careful, treat her kind, right? Yeah,
and be nice.
But,
well, she might have to go through some changes, or we've been messing with the Earth. The first thing that came to my mind was like, okay, who set off a nuke down underground? Like I went straight to worst case scenario Bond movie. In my head.
Interesting, yeah. Right. But when you're saying that too, I was also thinking, reminded me that they were spreading videos of how there could be a big, tornado erupting underwater in Hawaii too. That can cause issues if it erupts underwater. And people are saying, "Oh, that happens all the time. It happened many times. It didn't do anything." And so it's almost like they were putting that in people's consciousness before this too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It is in our conscious. Like I'm saying, either Mother Earth is putting our conscious, like, okay, kids, mom's a little, upset, or things are going to change.
Well,
of
course,
it's man who's messing with Mother Earth. I think, and this might just be a natural cycle that Mother Earth goes always through. We don't have enough math. We don't have enough science going back to count the days and see the weather. So,
yeah.
Well, anyways,
like we said,
my hair's raised. My hair's rose. I mean, like when this news alert came out, like something mom was like, don't like that. And it is first. It felt sort of like, are the games beginning? I didn't know. That kind of thing too. Games either in the change. Yeah.
But we also have to understand too, because all the shit that we're going through right now, that the Earth in Mother Nature and the Matrix is responding to everybody's emotions and anxiety too. I also feel that because of our collective consciousness and the state of beings that we are, that we can erupt things in nature too because of our energy. I think that we have the power to manipulate this matrix that way. So there can also be parts of that as well,
Yeah.
So I think it's a collaborative event. Mother Nature, the deep state, us. We're all collaborating on it.
I think human race has like collective spastic colon, and we're all just kind of like we didn't realize it was changing the earth at the same time. We're just all kind of like trembling, which is why we should eat whole food. I'm just saying, like good whole food right now. But we are tied to Mother Earth. But I actually think either way, I'm convinced either way. She's either going to go through a change because we keep messing with her weather and we keep messing with her. And that's really where the messing is. If you're trying to change the weather, trying to do stuff like that, you're working against Mother Earth, like radars hitting the space and whatnot. That's not cool. That's actually what Atlantis was doing. They did the same shit. They were like trying to tap into Mother Earth as a global thing, and basically made her a weapon against herself. The story goes with crystal energy, and that was, that's the legend. But it's kind of similar parallels. But I think that's part of it too. Like whether it's real or not, you have an Atlantis generation who's incarnated right now. They all have to be reminded of the whole thing, anyways. Like it's time to.
We're all participating in it either way.
Well, we have to release it. We have to get to it. We have to release it. So these little scares might do it. But today, actually, we're going to talk about how we can seduce the ethers. But first, let's talk about the state of the seduction world. Okay, this is a game we've been given. This game is a sizzle or a fizzle. What sizzles and what fizzles out is a fad. So a fizzle is a fad. Okay, we've done this once before. So the question to you, brother, is like using your magic powers. Is this fizzles or smizzles? I always do this. I can't get it right. Sizzles or fizzles? Yeah, exactly.
Sizzles or a fizzle? Okay.
Is it a sizzle or is it a fizzle? Okay, here it is. Oh, this is nice. Okay. Is it going to sizzle or fizzle? The idea of using astrology in a pickup line.
Well, I only say fizzle because it's going to evolve into something more, right? So before it was like, what's your main sign? Now people are like, oh, what's your rising and moon? So it's like, okay, so now we're going to start looking at things grander. So I think it'll evolve. So I'll say sizzle fizzle. It'll sizzle fizzle.
That was a Libra answer. Both sides. Okay.
It's hard because it will fizzle, but it will sizzle into something more than how it's already been evolving with astrology.
It can sizzle on a griddle into anything you want, but you're saying sizzles. Okay, I agree. It sizzles.
Like people start saying what's in their first house. Like, guess what? I have Saturn in my such and such house. They'll use that instead. Instead of their sign. So it'll evolve.
I'll tell you what fizzles is the idea of pickup lines. I don't know where that phrase is like soul's my mother. You know what I mean? Like that phrase right there. That's fizzled a long time ago.
People still do it though, but people are still doing it.
Now it's like sup, YUD. You know what I mean? Like that's basically a pickup line now.
T or B.
What about porn? Porn.
That's been around since it's always gonna it's gonna sizzle because it's always gonna now virtual reality will come out. There'll be porn on virtual reality, so there's always gonna be some facet of that. But in 5D Earth though, everyone would just be naked and that wouldn't be pornographic. We'll just be free energy. Yeah. No restriction of the body. So I think it'll remain. It'll sizzle for a while.
I think it's going to be crazy sizzle. It always reinvents itself, and I think the what's the site where you can like be your own porn star? I can't remember now.
I don't even know that. Oh, you mean OnlyFans?
Yes, OnlyFans. Thanks. See, that's how dated I am. OnlyFans. That's happening. The Zoom rooms are crazy to me. Like Americans are getting these Americans are getting on Zoom room conferences, and they're just like worldwide people and just being on camera naked with each other.
Yeah. I never heard of the Zoom room thing. That's new to me.
I just let it out then. It's out. It's happening.
Wow. How many have you been in?
I peeked in. I peeked in. I swear I just peeked in. No, I mean, I looked. It was interesting, but it's like, but I wouldn't go in. We'll tell you this after a commercial. It's a good
We'll talk about it in the Zoom room.
Yeah, you could do a Telegram too. And what about the dating apps? Are the dating apps going to be sizzle or fizzle?
No, I think they're going to sizzle and be more. Because again, how I see things is that everything's being this like invisible computer screen in our living rooms, and everything's kind of touched to order. So the issue I find is that the dating sites will be you're ordering your own AI companion.
Exactly. I mean, that's going to be trippy anyways, to have like an AI companion helping you find the best AI companion. You know what I mean? Like somebody seriously,
look, and a lot of us here are not going to do that stuff, or we're not going to participate in that, but that will be an option for those in the dating world.
I'll be interested. I'm curious. I mean, AI's
they have it now.
I mean, they have it now.
They have like AI boyfriend girlfriend apps.
Or did we befriend them and start to get to know them? And
you could talk to them, they talk back to you. It's like ChatGPT, but it's like where that's going in the dating world. Yeah, you push to order your own AI girlfriend, boyfriend, robot.
I don't think I can do that though myself. But
I could not
a relationship with that. No. What about dating for someone's potential, not as they are now? Oh, I gotcha. That's very Libra too. It's like,
hold on. Why do you think you and I are in business? Because all the people we talk to are dating because someone's potential and it's not there, right? So
I mean, like you're saying, half our clientele is about that. It's true.
Yeah, they did. Oh, because they have potential, but they're not getting their potential. So that there are a lot of people doing that now. So I actually think it's going to change. People are like, okay, I'll take you for what you are. All right, I got a job to go. All right, I'm in deport. Like, so I think people just understand where we're at and just go with it.
Don't you find that's a whole episode right there? Because
don't you find that people are becoming more open and more accepting of who they are now versus say 10 years ago?
100%, yeah. And I feel like actually, if anything, no one's even getting together anymore. Like it's like a polyamorous, like kind of Seinfeld meets Total Freedom. Like it's interesting. I mean, but people are just it's funny. The people I meet are okay that they haven't found the right people, but they're also going to just stay with whatever people they want until that happens. So like, there's this interesting, like, who knows where it's going kind of energy. But I think we're redefining ourselves. That's the whole point. Like we're taking control of our own awareness and our sexuality and our gender. Like we're taking full control now of the ride. Like we're going to handle this, step aside authorities. We want to define all this stuff, which is the age of Aquarius. So I think it's gonna be interesting to watch dating period and where it goes, like human romance going in the future. Looking at alien races, apparently a lot of things, shift. These when they tell stories with, from channels bringing stuff on, bringing down the story. What about monogamy, though? This is the same topic. Monogamy.
Same thing. It's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's going to evolve. I mean, there'll always be people. Look, we have internet, right? So we can see everything. There's always going to be monogamy. There's always going to be polygamy. There's always going to be people who want more than one party. So I just think we're becoming more conscious of it. Same thing.
Yeah. And we're the same way in Rome. That's who we are, guys. We're kind of that way as a race. Like we explore all of it. And it doesn't matter, because I think if a person explores something, the next soul has to explore it too. Like there's an endless, turnaround of people having to try these different perspectives to learn. It's all about learning. So everyone's going to be in whatever position at whatever time to see what it's like. What about the idea of past life connections and being aware of the past life connection? Is that going to be something that sizzles or fizzles in the future?
Well, I think it's going to sizzle. Like, look, how I see us expanding is being more spiritually inclined. Like we can see metaphysical data, like we're more psychic. So I feel like we'll get to a point where like, oh yeah, so you're my such and such in this lifetime. So I feel like we're going to be more aware of that. That's going to be more embedded in our in our psyche. I feel like, I think that's going to completely expand. Because 5D to me is like, I see just us walking creatures, very kind of like open, and we can change. We want to change. We're expressing ourselves. We want to express ourselves, and we can see and encode data, non-physical data, psychic data. So I think that, people are like, oh yeah, I knew you from this lifetime here. And like, oh yeah. And so, because we're talking about it now. So if we're evolving, so of course, down the road, that's gonna be a huge, huge awareness.
If humans have, if humans have just what I've been able to have, they'll be astonished. They'll be astonished. Yeah. I've just had things proven in my past lives that are just beyond doubt, and like I said, I'm astonished. At what's actually seems to be real and checks out, and the universe plays a really good convincing game. You ask the universe, it'll show you. Your higher self will show you. The signs you need. I think that children can be born not forgetting. I honestly feel like kids are born like, I was on a ship and I went down. Like,
they say their names. They're like, I was like John Breckenbooth and lived on Plural Street. I don't know the fucking names I brought up there.
I just start,
knowing.
That's what I think, and just telling the parents, I'm like, yeah, who cares?
The kids, but they go and research, and what the kids have said, they look up like that was an actual person on the actual street.
Yeah.
They validate. So it's like, okay, so then explain that if psychic ability doesn't exist. Explain that, science. How does a kid know that?
I just recently in this last, Jupiter out of Gemini was just like, I'm going to stop worrying about people agree or they believe, because I just want to run with what I want to run with. At this point, I've been really concerned about that the whole time. But I also feel like we're all just sort of, being pulled underwater in the sense that we all know it's true. And it's really just about a waking up thing. It's not about a right or wrong thing. Because at the end of the day, you end up knowing we have more powers than we realize. I do, like I pass life energies. I can see that stuff. I think it's all going to awaken. I think probably our grandkids will see the most, but I think kids will wake up knowing that they're, connected to these kids and whatever. They'll just know. Just like a lot of our stars on Serious Joy, like age 5, age 6, like you, very young, knew, like all your psychic awareness and knew you're talking to ghosts and all sorts of stuff like just normal for you, So I think you're the kind of what we're going to see. And then I guess the nuclear family is listed here. We got 2 more. Nuclear family, is that going to be sizzle or fizzle?
I don't know. It's an interesting question because it's like there's always going to be families, but then then we have like same-sex marriages. We have so many different dynamics. It's like all these things will exist. I feel like the majority of people will be more accepting of things outside the nuclear family. So it's not like it will completely dissipate, but I feel like there's going to be more options, more variations.
I feel that we need to redefine the word family in the sense of family being something that's essential to life and letting anyone play that role. So I think we're going to have what we call the post-nuclear family. I think the post-nuclear family is going to be the family that's created by spiritual unity and even the awareness. Like, I know I adopted you. It's because you saved me from drowning in the 1930s. Even if we have past life awareness, we'll maybe know why we're helping that soul out this time and being part of the family. Right now, most of the time, your family is 2 things. Like, one, they started as a lover in many, many lifetimes. Like, a lot of times, the family history goes back to being lovers from what I'm seeing and observing. And part of it's because when you really get close, it's like lovers, that's easy. Be family, like it gets more intense as it's family. You get closer as it's family. And family also has like the non-sexual barrier, right? That allows you to have, intimacy from another level, another perspective, and a support level too. So family is really important for that reason. So I think family sticks around, but It just gets retermed, rebranded.
That's what I'm saying. But see, the thing is that people don't understand. I think people tend to go like all or nothing. We're evolving, expanding, which means we have more variety. It doesn't mean things go away.
Correct.
So,
I agree.
so it means the nuclear family will still be, but then we'll have all these different variations of families too. That's the beauty of the bigger picture of evolution. So, the nuclear family has just been like one modality for such a long time. It's like, no, there's other modalities. And I agree. Yeah. Redefining what family means and what the structure of that means, not these, biblical standards.
I think that's I agree. Those standards are gone. Okay, nanoships, which are quick, meaningful flings. If you don't know what a nanoship is, I guess it's like,
never heard that before.
On a car ride. I mean, how nano does it get?
What a nanoship?
That's what they're called.
But like this, quick, meaningful flings. I love the meaningful part of that. Look. That will always be too. And I think that, there's a level of seduction in that, right? Because sometimes in life to get the seduction energy, you got to have a quick, meaningful fling. And sometimes as a part of your life, you don't need any type of huge companionships. Like I just need a little bit of a quick, meaningful fling that I can connect with, express passion on, and go along, have a little bit that boost in my life so I can focus on other things. So I think those quick, meaningful flings could actually be a way of seducing the ethers to get yourself in the proper energy state, right? Of love, passion.
If there's a conspiracy in the company of heaven, it's that sex is used to bring together lessons. So it's like if you actually roll back your your statistics, you're like the highest attraction was the craziest. Like as far as what you had to face and on the lessons you had to learn. So it's like it's tied to us learning. I think it's like we get attracted to where the lesson is. That's like It always changes. It always surprises me what the lesson is and how it came a different way. But but that's not all of it though. I think humans also we're in heaven. We don't get to do this, any other place. Like in a way, people talk about, you're talking about talking to AI as a girlfriend or whatever. We are literally in heaven right now, pretending to be down here, I think, and trying to have sex and all these things. I think it's new for our spirits. So we're not to begin with.
Yeah. But, but I think a lot of people like, waiting and all that stuff and, and saying like, if I just focus on my Kundalini energy, right. And then somehow we can convert that into something, right. Use sexual energy into something, but it doesn't mean we also have to deprive ourselves of it either. And, sometimes just having a little bit boost of a sexual experience could actually really drive force, creativity, a lot of other aspects. So
I actually, if and we have to go to commercial after this, but I feel that we have to have more sex, especially if we're going to a creative period. It's like it's the physical. We've actually slowed down. We're not having. It's like we're not. I think part of the problem with the Earth is it has stopped, or is not what it was, or it was not as intimate as it was, and so it's affected us. And it's part of our creativity. It's the foundation of creativity, whether you're going to have a spawn or not.
What's interesting though? Like I see that has declined, like the human interaction, the flirtation, but I feel people are very horny on like pornography, like we said before, and all like the superficial aesthetics of things. Who are very horny about and obsessed looking at, but the engagement level has dropped within people. I find
it seems like it's become more cerebral in people. I see like the sexual is all in their mind. I don't ever feel like it's been in their body or that they've been, or
they're not expressing it,
or they were, they had an emotional shift from it, like. Which I saw with my mom, her baby, and my dad. I mean, even when they went off dating after the divorce, like I saw like a healthy sex life, both of them. It's like the baby boomers had no problem, like hopping in the bed, and no problem walking away from it. It was interesting in that sense too, like made Pluto and Leo learning boundaries around the heart. But this generation is very like standoffish, like check with an app first, all sorts of trading, like all sorts of this like digital exchange. Before there's even, in person, So
why though?
Different thing.
Do you know why? Because sex isn't a mystery anymore. That's why it's not a mystery anymore. It's all out there now. Like back in times before internet, like it was a mystery. It was something to, to fantasize about. It wasn't always all in your face. Like now it's all over in your face. They have it everywhere. So it's kind of like what next, which might be a good positive change for our species and consciousness that they're focused on something more than just physicality. So
we didn't bring this up, but I think it's commercial break, and the topic is Seducing The Ethers is our topic, but I guess our sponsor is
that's why we're talking about sex.
Right? Yeah, that's your one. You're up, bud.
Hello, I'm Sanandra, founder of CT Organics. We are celebrating our 30th year anniversary as a small business with simple, clean, organic skin and hair care made with love. To celebrate our 30-year anniversary, enter code word JOY30 at checkout and you'll receive 30% off any individual CT skin and hair care product.
Happy anniversary! season of self-love is just around the corner. Hi, I'm Gwen English, and I'm here to tell you about an exciting new offering at Serious Joy Academy. This year, as a companion to the 40 Days of Self-Love program that Sensei Christopher has gifted to the world, it's a new course called Heart Speak Oracle, a creative path to self-love. In this course, we will use collage as a way to connect to your heart and get messages from your subconscious, your higher self, and the unseen world about what your heart is wanting to heal and express in each step awareness. I am so excited. Self-love is around the corner. Swing by Serious Joy Academy and find out more. Live, love, be.
Oh, that's great. So you heard from Gwen English there. Self-love is around the corner. This is the season of self-love, my brother. Between now and step 11, Leo, we come into like our heart and how we love ourselves or don't love ourselves. And that's what the astrology is. We're talking a little bit about our time right now. And we had a new moon at 2 degrees last Friday, I think, and last Thursday, excuse me. And that was really an emotional investment in feeling good. So I did feel that. The new moon was just like, I just want to feel good. I just want to feel myself, as I think was the foundation of that feeling that everyone on earth wanted at the same time. And that's really kind of the cry in Leo, is like just to finally, you know, just to feel settled in one's heart. I think that's where most humans are. They want to feel settled. That's where our evolution is. I mean, the astrology is saying with Pluto opposing, it's like you should at least be settled with your heart. Says Pluto on the other side, you know, at least settled, you know, with who you are, what your heart wants, like at least that base. And so as Pluto moves up Aquarius across from the sun, I mean, Leo energy, you know, Leo's going to be forced up the map. You know, that's what happens on the opposite side, you know, because you're in opposition, which means you got to move. There's a truck here, you know, which is Pluto. You have to move whatever you're driving on. You have to leave and go another path. Like Pluto forces everyone on another path, forces. So all Leos are being forced to, I think, self-love differently. And I see them, they've been more humble, like in the sense of just less brazen, I've noticed, and more kind of quiet, like a king after a war kind of a thing. It's been interesting to watch Leo's kind of energy. And then, of course, the opposite side, you guys are bouncing off the walls. You know, like, I mean, really, you're opening up. You know, I'm seeing Aquarius's bloom, like where Pluto is, the planet of death, which is interesting because it's like, oh, I'm planet of death, and yet they're awakening. But that's, I think, Pluto, you know, wears off layers. We're in Mercury retrograde right now, so we're trying to rethink the way we think. And that just means your mind is looking at it differently. I love retrogrades because let me just try looking at it differently. Screw it. You know, what else? Why not? And that little moment sometimes gives you the perception you need. Chiron retrograde today at 27 Aries. So Chiron at 27 Aries means Chiron laying off is the Virgo planet. So Chiron's the critic. It's like, like Chiron's just like always pointing out what's not right. We're always noticing what's not right. And when Chiron retrogrades, it's like, finally, fucking went to bed. Mm-hmm. You know, like, oh God, for 5 months, you know, there's sort of this nag. And so anyways, that's a good thing because now people can just like relax with the sun in Leo, come into their heart, really ask their heart what their heart wants. Because this time when you ask your heart what it wants, it actually has a really good chance of getting it. Whereas in past, not so much. What are you picking up?
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying for a while, I've been starting back from May, June, and July. You know, May's the month of movement. You know, June's the month of kind of you're taxing the runway, and then July we take a lift off. Mid-July we come in for a landing, and August we explore. So this month of August is very much in Leo season, using the heart, is exploration, but also participation. So I think it is time for us to stop looking through the windows, to stop looking through and you know, what do they call it? Look at the dog in the window and window shopping. Start participating. You know, grab a hold of those resources that you know that you have now that you can be resourceful with, and start engaging and participating in what your passions are right now. Because when we miss that call, things backfire in a negative way. When we miss that calling to start acting in our passion and to go in that direction finally, because things have been lined up for us to do so, then things that start happening in a negative sense. And that's when we feel like the rug gets pulled beneath us, why those relationships end, why those jobs abruptly end, why you might bang your body around and get an illness or break a bone and put yourself in the hospital because we're resisting. And when the currents are going, you're pulling back on that current, it's not pretty. So we have to understand now's a time of participation. And how are you willing to participate and show up and be in the spotlight in your life? And that's what this month is really all about. We can say hard, we could say being loyal to the self, but that, I think, when we are conscious of this, we allow ourselves to give ourselves permission, sign us permission slip to say, all right, I'm pressing start and going ahead.
Yes, but I guess at a deeper level, it's like it's about loving yourself. Like it's honestly, there's a very sentimental, super sweet that hasn't been opened for a long time. Everyone's innocence has been locked away. The truth is, we have not been in our hearts. We have not been sharing love with each other. We really are love starved from ourselves and each other, and we keep thinking money is going to fill that void. And the reality is, all you have to do is it starts with loving yourself, which is doing the most loving, nice thing for yourself. And when you do that, whatever that is, you'll get better at love, and you'll understand people much better when you love yourself because you understand what they need from themselves, not even from you. But we stop blaming each other. It's like, at the end of the day, we've been sort of codependent on this like fight or flight society, afraid of something going wrong. And the only way around that is just to go in your heart and be like, okay, I'll be here for me. And that just starts, I think, the chain reaction of, and it comes from joy. I think creativity is a great one. Go create something. You cannot not be in your heart if you're creating. I don't care if you're creating racetrack, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're in the creation flow, you're creating something, you are in the flow of your heart and you are thawing out too that way if you've had a hard time.
The only thing that's wrong is outside of the heart.
Yeah, okay,
that's it.
right.
The only thing that's wrong is outside the heart. I mean, seriously, because people are like, what's wrong? Everything goes. Yeah, because anything outside the heart is what's wrong. And so if you want to stop living what's wrong and be in the state of what's right, it's all in the heart.
100%. And it never misleads. It never misleads. It never misleads. Like, so if you do what's best for your heart, like what's most loving, like, and obviously let's just use a simple example. I'm starving. And what am I going to do? I'm going to buy a candy bar. I'm going to buy, vegetables. Well, the most loving thing is the vegetables. It is. Not because it's the right thing or whatever, because if you love yourself 100%, then you're going to give yourself the best thing for you. You love yourself. So sometimes love leads to sacrifice of things we don't want. But when you do the most loving for yourself genuinely, if you're a third party observing, I've seen always it does the best for everyone around you. Like a lot of times what blocks it is that you're afraid of hurting others or upsetting others or anything like that. If it's love-based, there's a magic in that, in the science of the sauce of whatever the vibration of love is, like that it cares for everyone. When you use it, it cares for everyone, right? Kind of thing. So all you have to do is love yourself, and I think that happens.
Well, the heart and love is not withholding, period. So if you're withholding for whatever reason, that's not acting in love or the heart. The heart doesn't withhold; it expresses.
That's true.
And so if anyone's feeling, well, how do I get? Because the problem is a lot of people don't have the blueprint of how to like go. You come from the heart. Some people just like we hear it all the time. They don't understand what that means. I said it's intuition. What do you going deep into what you feel, not what you think, and practicing that. It takes practice.
Well, you're not going to it too. Well, you're not going to hear. You're in your heart. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're not going to hear the heart like right away. It's not going to happen. So if you're not used to it, you're going to have to practice that. Meditation helps, certain forms of meditation, following intuition, understand this is what I think, this is what I feel, writing it down, journaling. There's so many ways of tools that we always mention that get people to give a blueprint of how to understand how to, connect and listen to the heart and follow the heart. Now I sound like the band Heart. Listen to you. Was that Heart? Was that Heart?
The key song. I don't know, but that was good. Well, incidentally, I think listening to the heart is very difficult. I think if you have emotional trauma, it's very hard to get through that trauma. The heart hides as a safety precaution from itself, and so it pulls back and withdraws from situations. So it's like somewhere in the back seat when you're trying to drive energetically. So there's a whole, I think, reconstruction of the heart where it has to be brought forward in a safe, loving way. But honestly, if you laugh, you're in your heart. Like there's some things that are guaranteed in your heart. If you wish, you're in your heart. You can't wish in your mind. You can wish in your heart. So these are little tricks I think that get you right in. And I think people need daily practice. I mean, at SeriousJoy.com, we're like, okay, today, what's your heart wishing for today? Why? Just posing the questions, the client will answer. And that's what needed to happen. Your soul needed to check in with you on that day about your heart. So if you check in with your heart on a daily basis, you will come into it robustly.
And I tell people, if you're feeling grumpy, it's because your heart's grumpy. If you're feeling bad, your heart's grumpy. Your heart's like, oh, God, I'm not getting what I want. So if you're grumpy, your heart is not being attended to. Because people would say they want to be in joy right all the time, Christopher. So the joy's in the heart. Yeah. That expression, the freedom of expression and enjoyment comes from the heart. So if you're grumpy, you're not in the heart. So that's how you know. That's your key identifier that you're not in the heart. You're grumpy.
100%. Like when Saturn went through my fifth house for the first time as a young adult, I had tremendous anger come out. And I was just like, what the fuck? I'm not that guy. And I realized, oh my God, it's my inner child. He's so pissed. It's like, I realized he's so pissed, and it's like, wow. And in that moment, it was an awakening. And that was when I really developed a lot of my understanding of how to help people in their inner child and their hearts. Was I had gone through it young as a budding astrologer. So I was just like analyzing, like, what the F is this? And what I realized is just our heart's damage and our inner child's damage. Our inner child is counting on us, not anyone else. It never count on anyone else ever. Like you counting on dad or whatever. And the inner child never count on them. I think inner children always know they're smarter. Everyone around them is an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, and they've got to take care of themselves. Like, that's what most inner child feel. Truly, that they're brilliant and they have this opportunity, and the world keeps holding them back.
Well, and I always find like anger is like the warrior of the heart, because if we're not expressing the heart, so we're always in defensive mode. So that anger, right? That means we're really trying to protect our heart. So we don't always have to be in defensive mode to protect our heart. If we learn how to express it, then we can understand by expressing it is how we actually protect it, which is the paradox there, And so, I went through the same period as you, Christopher, like very angry moment because of the abuse that I went through and the deprivation that I had, right? And so I was angry about like always being taken for. And so, but again, I was me protecting my heart, like, no, it's not going to happen again. No, I don't want, and so, and we get in isolation mode. Then when I learned how to really start using my heart to express what I want in my life, then I didn't feel like I had to protect it any longer because it was mine. No one could take it, because we own it.
Well, I had this pattern of, it's going to be therapy today. I had this pattern of really having brokenhearted, and then having been mean to myself, like the love of my life had been mean to me. And so this is a Black Moon Lilith, conjunction my 5th, which is gnarly. But ultimately, it comes down to the fact that reliving, abandoning myself. What I realized was, for me, I abused my heart in the sense that I would be like, nope, you can't have any joy until you finish your work. And I would use my joy as a capture to like, come on, and just like turn myself into a slave as that kind of happened. Just going, well, I'll do this later, I'll enjoy this later, and really it's just a means of self-motivation to make sure it doesn't happen again. Underneath it is the pain of like, well, this will not happen again. So there is this demand that it won't happen again underneath that, but driving yourself to the wall to get there was kind of one of my things. And my inner child was mad at me. My inner child was like, you MO, you made us a slave, like kind of thing. And I was like, oh man, I did, turn my childhood. I think also like a young star does the same thing. Like if they're on TV or whatever young, they end up turning their inner child into a slave. That has to work for them. This is what happens.
Yeah. I mean, but this is the gateway and the key of like really what we call seducing the ethers in a sense. This is when reality becomes your playground, because the heart is your intuition. I always say that's your psychic eye, basically. And that's how you can encode the data in this matrix. So you can play around with the ethers of this universe and be very playful in and see how the universe is and spirit is working and playing with you too, because you're able to be perceptive enough to see it because you're coming from the heart, which is the psychic eye, and so this is how we get to have fun in our lives. So if you're not having fun, like I said before, you're grumpy, you're not coming from the heart. So it's time to start looking at those things. And sometimes we have to go and play with the younger versions of ourselves. We hear it all the time in psychology and hypnotherapy, right, Christopher, and the spiritual communities about like the younger version of ourselves. Sometimes we got to activate that young version of ourselves that was limitless. We didn't have all this preconditioned fear that we have now after our experiences. We thought we're like, yeah, that's what I want, I'm going to go get it. And so now we have the rationale to know our limitations, but also what we can grow to learn. But the heart helps on this, and that's how we get to play around this matrix, and where we feel like we're manifesting, or we feel like things are lining up for ourselves. It comes from that feeling. And so that's a seduction. You can't seduce with the brain, especially with physicality and intimacy. You seduce with your heart. You seduce with your energy. You know what I mean? So
I can't believe have the parallels here, because right now I'm doing the intro to step astrology, and I'm talking about how at the last moment I changed it from manifestation to the word enchantment, because I realized the same thing I think you're saying. I think I came to the same conclusion, but the different brand that I own. With enchantment, but enchantment ultimately is what it is, because it comes from Saint Germain, to be honest, who's the one who introduced me to the idea. But I realized it's true, especially with step 20s and above in astrology. It becomes passion. Like at the end of the day, you've got to be passionate. You've got to be in love with yourself, and it's the love you have for your passion and you love for yourself that becomes seductive. That's what people want. Like, oh my God, I feel that love. He's loving his life, isn't he? Like people love to tune into that because they want it more than anything else to also feel that way. And I don't even think in a jealous way, just like, give me mine. Like I want to feel good. Everyone wants to feel good about and love themselves. Like that's ultimately it. So it is so that I think, I don't know, sways. I mean, emotionally sways, grips you, holds you. It's like people are personally pulled in. I think when you really manifest on a big, level, which is an enchantment, people are under a spell.
Yeah, Absolutely. But that's what seduce. Someone's asked here is like, what does it mean to seduce the ethers? Well, think of seduction and think of the ethers being the vibrations of this earth and this planet that we're in, the matrix that we're in. And when you're like playing, like we said before, you're playing around with it, you get to identify like your own vibe with people, with circumstances, right? And how to like engage or disengage if you need to, you know? So that's seduction. And we should look at life as being in a seduction way that's playful, but also that's where the intimacy from the heart comes from, right? And I would say
I think the word seduction there's something about that word though that has like something not good, like, and I don't know what it is, but it's like I think it's a combination of it is like if I were to try to describe it to an alien, I'm like, you basically got to make love with the earth. Yep. Like I would basically say you got to plug in the energetically, you had to like be intimate energetically with everything. Like it is kind of a seduction, and there is like a wah 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 wah. There's a little bit of that, but the word itself, seduction, like has just like the sexual surrender thing. I think that for me that like. Where I say we need a new word, and this came up a couple weeks ago. We were talking about this. I was like, we need a word for seduction because it's not. I'm not even blaming you. There's no better word. I know, having been in what you're talking about, it feels that way.
Well, I did. I'll let people know I did name the title of the show, but to me, I think seduction is something that should be. I look at everything as a duality to it, right? A very negative version and a positive version. Seduction should be very powerful. We like the mystery because there is mystery. I love you said that there is mystery behind seduction. So this universe is very mysterious. And so in going with seduction, it's almost accepting the mystery of playing around in our the universe and playing with the energy. So we should accept the mystery behind this. I want all the time, as you know, Christopher, when they come to psychics, they have to know every step of the way. And I'm like, not every step that we take is written in the stars. So sometimes we need that little bit of enjoying that mystery. And so that's why I like the term seduction, because we need to be embracing more of that mystery, you know, and the unknown in a sense, you know. And so, but some people need a blueprint, and I'm talking about that tomorrow on my live show about, you know, what are the blueprints for August. And so as I do every Thursday of my live show at the Cruisyverse. So tomorrow I'm talking about your August blueprints for all signs. So if you want to know what you have to do for August, tune in tomorrow, as well as every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I also be doing live one-on-one readings there as well. And if you don't want to come onto the show, you can book a session with me at scottcruzpm.com one-on-one. So hopefully.
Scott Cruz is popularly known for his life-changing one-on-one readings to also guide in your soul ascension journey. With life readings, get insight into...
Oh, did that just end? Are you there? Are you laughing? Okay. All right. Lost it. Well, that's happening. Mercury's retrograde, so that stuff's happening all the time right now.
It's all good. ScottCruzPM.com. You don't need to run the commercial. So yeah, you can check me out or just come to my live show.
That's the universe like off like, come on. It's time we change this act. Well, you know, as far as seducing the ethers, I think it's a seductive word or whatever. But I think at the end of the day, our relationship with reality is intimate. Like I feel, the more I'm learning, like the way I feel, just from emotions alone. Like look at feelings. Feelings are really magical because you feel a certain way, your spouse feels you, your partner feels you, whatever. Your kids feel you. People feel you, and then they communicate the feeling. We're going to do a headline today about how there's a new mesh network with Jack Dorsey that he's launching, a Bluetooth mesh network where like the phone is like, you know, can talk to phones around it only. And then there's technology that will leap beyond that apparently. But really I thought to myself, emotions are a mesh network. Like we feel, we sense, even animals like what, you know, feel and sense fear. And I don't think we tapped into it. What are you laughing at now?
That was a good chime in. That was good. I like you threw it in there. Good correlation with the mesh and the emotions. I'm like, yeah, we skipped that one, but you brought it back in. That was good. Yeah. I totally agree with that. It's a complete mesh. That's a web of this matrix, right? And seducing is really kind of it's again another term for co-creating with the universe, right?
Yeah. Well, there is an intimacy there because, first of all, this is a hall of mirrors of yourself, right? So, from understanding about reality and what we're in, the creation is always creating on the fly, creating these, experiences in your life, stories in your life, arcs in your life, opportunities in your life, introductions to other people in your life. It seems to all be based on one thing, for you to experience the lesson of understanding who you are. And so from what I understand, we put ourselves in this thing and we go, I want to understand who I am. And you're like watching a mini version of yourself and go through this and learn from it and learn from what you did. Because it's weird. It's like it's your energy put into this system that can, and then we can experience it as well. ultimately. So I think we're getting to the point now where we're becoming aware of the fact that we can do this. And so will we now in our hearts, this is where it comes down to. When you follow your heart and you follow what your heart enjoys, it's infectious. It creates a chain reaction. People all want their heart too. And so just by following what your heart wants, you're changing the world. And we've never been more healed from our wounds and inspired in our hearts ever that I can see in astrological history. I mean, I just can't see it. It's a remarkable moment. One would say the age of Aquarius is the birth of it. But it comes from the seduction of love. That's what I'm getting to. Going back to your title. To me, the seducing is there's a falling in love there.
Well, it's also, seduction is not demanding. You know, how many times do you see people demanding of the universe? Give me, I want this now. I need this money now. It's like, there's no fun in that. There's no passion in that. There's no love in that. It's just entitlement. So seduction, we have to be reminded to be playful in the mystery. You know, and also, and if you think of seduction, we're in control. And when we're creating our own reality, we're in control, right? Whatever we're manifesting or have manifested, we dictated, we are in control. And that manifestation isn't just a result of feeling, it's a result of what we're participating in, what we're doing. And seduction is an action. That's another reason why I like the term too. It's an action. It's not a feeling. It's like, you got to participate to seduce. And so we have to participate in our reality and our action expression to manifest. But that level of seduction come from the heart is really co-creating with the universe. The universe is very, very vibrant energy, this matrix that we're into. And so we want to understand how to mingle and to tether, you know, our, you know, energy with the universe too, and being synced that way.
Well,
there's a portal, as it says in the note.
looking at OnlyFans, I'm not seeing very much seduction.
Nope.
I mean, I'm not seeing seduction anywhere in the young. It's like, you're going to do this. It's very,
here it is.
It's very like, this is what you do kind of thing. There was no, you know, swab at all. It seems like swab's been pulled off completely. But
you know what I think, Christopher, about that though? I think that part of that, like in your face, is people are getting comfortable with, you know, I think about, like, you know, 20 years ago, right? Like how embarrassing were people over being naked or embarrassed about talking about sex? So I feel like it need to be out there, so we're all not so uncomfortable about sex, like as we used to be like 30 years ago, 20, 30 years ago. You know,
I don't know. I was surprised how quickly, as soon as you can send pictures on a phone, everyone's sending nudes. I was like, yeah. Oh, Jesus, you know, I didn't, you know, and that happened, of course, in like chat rooms and on, you know, online, people were doing that stuff. But once it was a phone, it just like picked up, you know, like especially at 2 a.m., you know, you start getting pictures and text messages. Well, okay, totally different reality than
like scrolling and touching someone's ethers when you're scrolling their picture, like, ooh, you know, you're touching someone's, you know, ethers there, you know, when they send those pictures. And so it's like, yeah, but I think that's the human species evolving to be more comfortable about it. There's a lot of shame. I mean, if we look at 20, 30 years ago, especially religion, a lot of shame around sexuality, a lot of shame around sex, right? A lot of shame around that.
It's true. I mean, if you look at like something in the 80s, it's laughable. Kind of like the way we were, and I was raised in the 80s. I mean, that was my childhood. I was like, that was what I was being fed, you know, on TV and everything. And we knew it was nothing like that at home. Like you know, our parents are getting divorced and going against it, you know, you know, that image or whatever. Yeah, it's funny. I always wonder, like, you know, I look back at the 80s, I'm like, fuck, we're out of touch. Fuck, you know, like that kind of thing. But then I wonder, well, in this moment, like in the future, look back in this and go, man, I was out of touch, man. You know, maybe it's just the awareness of expansion right there.
Well, of course it is. Of course it is. But a lot of this kind of, you know, the cheating, it's all sex deprivation, you know, and I think that's what's created a lot of what we have today. And people are just kind of getting more comfortable with all that and just like, I'm not surprised by anything anymore. And I'm glad we got to that point, because now, like, okay, now what do we do with it? Now, how do we use sex? Now, how do we use intimacy?
I think that's already happening. I mean, I think that
that's what I'm talking about.
You can see people are kind of bored with it. They want something else. And that might be, you know, finding your superpowers and, you know, opening up and activating your DNA kind of thing, right? I also think portals, I mean, from what I understand too, you know, if we're talking about where things are going, are you there? As far as where things are going is, you know, like in the tomb of one of the pyramids, from what I understand, and I've read stories in different directions, but in that sarcophagus, right? Is that what it is? Like in the center of it where they said the king was born, apparently that's like not that at all. It's like a conscious spaceship is what the rooming, you know, the real, you know, and that conscious spaceship is like the whole entire gravity, that whole entire pyramid has enough like wired, intelligent, conscious energy going through it in different directions and geometries that it lifts your spirit out of the body and takes you to wherever the accounting, you know, pyramid is somewhere else on the planet. So literally it's like a soul teleporter. where your body stays here, your light body gets shot across the universe into another place. No, seriously, namely Orion. From what I understand, Orion is where most of these things are shot to. And this is an experience you had. This was actually the experience of having that happen to you, allegedly, is what started the tradition of the resurrection. Because when they came out of this chamber, having visited another world in their soul body, they were so different, changed forever. Like they were completely changed forever people. And allegedly, here's another like rumor out there that Yeshua did it.
Well, I was just about to say that. I was just about to say because they did that in Egypt, right? They would put them in tombs and they had certain stones that vibrate so they can astral project, which is how I think they were able to alter the laws of physics to do the pyramids and stuff of that nature. But perhaps that's what Jesus did too. Same thing. Went in the tomb, boom, astral projected.
Now they say there might have been hallucinogenics included.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Shit. Who knows what was real? I don't know. Only your soul knows what's real, but you definitely, that would be surreal. But you're alone in that damn thing. They leave you alone. They leave you alone in the center of that damn thing, and they leave, and you're left there alone in the dark, complete dark, and you go through this we know that if you go, sense deprivation will cause to go through all kinds of hallucinogenic things, right? But anyways, interesting.
Ancient artwork always has like some disc in the sky and mushrooms on the floor. Like there's always
that's where they came from, actually. Exactly. I'm sure that's where they came from. Mushrooms grow like crazy, right? They grow everywhere. I'm sure this alien's just like, okay, they're always interesting. Yeah.
Right. So, and before that technology, they were drawing like discs in the sky and the mushrooms on the floor. So obviously there's a connection there somehow. They use those magic potions, to alter consciousness. But, again, if we understand the tools that the earth gave us and how to utilize them that we're doing now with shrooms and ayahuasca and DMT, all this stuff, we can reach different levels too. We want to, if we do it, of course, safely.
That's another thing that's happening right now is the DMT thing. Like it's really like people are really on this particular substance, and there's variations of it too. But I'm amazed at how much I hear about it. I've never seen that happen. In my life, I grew up under pot. It was already huge. Like there's a lot of new drugs coming out. People don't know. Like they become semi known, right? But the thing about DMT is it opens up it's supposed to be it's the chemical you have your brain shoot when it's about to die, which is kind of weird.
Yes, when you're incarnating and being born, like releases DMT, and also when you die, it releases DMT, so you have a more of like euphoric experience. And so when you're putting more DMT in your system, like you had this trippy 15-minute experience. A lot of people have seen like what the universe looks like, or had like revelations about their past lives, and so you can kind of like break the barriers with it too. So it's a natural, but brain produces it. So
I find it interesting just because you heard about 60s dropout man and that sort of thing, and And that was, I don't know if that was planned or not. I mean, obviously by the university it was planned, but Timothy Leary, CIA, who knows where that, the line is with all that stuff, to honest, who brought it out or whatever. But nonetheless, like opening up your mind like crazy, access to third eye stuff. Obviously natives, cultures everywhere, ayahuasca, sacred, peyote, like there are many sacred plants that kind of pull that stuff off. So clearly God built it into the matrix. But the point is like, it's becoming popular. Like, authentically, something is kind of an obvious, age of Aquarius statistic I'm seeing that.
We need a hippie age part 2 is what we need.
Well, I don't know. Hippie's an interesting multidimensional thing now, and we don't even know if
free love and all the DMT and mushrooms and
that's the thing.
Look,
right.
But look, I think. Yeah, I mean, in creation, there are tools to access the levels of that. And so if it's DMT, if it's shrooms, if it's just you curling up with a good book, if it's you just kind of nuzzling with the music that you enjoy, find it. Find your stimulus. And I think it's okay if you need a little bit of a stimulus in a positive fashion to inspire you to get there. So some use like these deep drugs to do so, and you can just participate in your life the way you just enjoy, with good music or good food and good company, and that's also activating the heart. So I think a lot of people just make it too complicated or overly mystify the heart chakra too much, I would say.
I would say ask your heart. Your heart knows what it wants. I remember my son, it's like, hey son, you want a piece of candy? No. He's like, what? Like, you sure? Like, he's just always no, Dad, I don't want to. No, thank you.
Gemini?
Yeah, a little Gemini, but he would just, how he knew he didn't want it, and like, and he didn't. He's like, no, I don't want the candy. No, Dad. Come on, it's good for you. Pushing candy at my son, but no, seriously, it was just so impressive to me that he knows his heart really well. And I think I'm a good vibration. Like I can bring what I was able to bring through is a really pure soul. Like my son's very pure and sweet and, not so much damage. He's been like past like Buddhist camps, like Buddhist organizations, like this, what he's doing. So his heart was very honest with me about everything. And I was always like, like, look how strong the heart is when you know what the heart's telling you. Like just how strong you are. Cause you're just like, that's who you are.
Well, it's important that we have that to get discerned about what's going on with our current world, to save the world right now. And I think a lot of people are not buying shit because they're listening to their heart now, so that they're seeing through, the puppet show and the dog and pony show. So I think that we needed this time even with our political sphere in order to get us to be more focused on our heart. We need to be duped in order to understand, like, I need to feel now, right? So I think there's good change ahead, even amongst the chaos.
I'll tell you, the irony here, and this I really truly believe, I'll say it publicly right now. I think that what did it was COVID.
Because,
of course, and here's the irony: it's like, and if that was, in fact, anything other than random from nature, if there was any intent behind any person was behind that at all, like whatever, it's extremely dark. But the irony is, it blows up. Because what it does is put people in their house where they start facing their problems and noticing their patterns, and they come in their hearts and they start to realize they're not happy. And it's like the awareness that happened as a result of it, which is why, I think that's how the two, shadow and light work together anyways. It's like, at the end of the day, this is a light world lent to a shadow, and so light will always, in that sense, prevail no matter what. And it's interesting to see that we're healing.
I think COVID accelerated a lot of things for a lot of people in both ways. There's going to be people say, like, how can you say the blessing in disguise when people died? It's like, well, they accelerated whatever the energy was. And so it pushed people out of relationships they need to be out of. It pushed people out of locations they need to be out of. It pushed people out of jobs they didn't want to be in. And it pushed people who also the negative end of the spectrum who weren't taking care of their health. It pushed them into put them out of their misery. But the soul gets a reset too at the same time. We understand that. So I think I always said COVID was a blessing for a lot of people, in a lot of ways. And I've seen a lot of people got dumber because of COVID, and now I feel like they're getting smarter. So there's a huge decline in intellect after COVID. And then I feel like people are starting to wisen up more so because of it too. So it's an interesting paradigm that I've been watching the past 5 years.
So interesting. I remember, back in 2012, I remember back in 2020, actually, frankly, when the planets are insane. Like Saturn was conjuncting Pluto and Capricorn. And that's basically like, that's like two gods fighting each other that usually work together. Like it was, it's the two forces that beating each other up, right? And astrologers like, what the fuck is this? Like we were all kind of like speculating what it would be. What is going to put a crack in the foundation of control? Because that's what it is. Like the Liberty Bell splitting, but this is like the Dark Bell splitting. Like something that split the bell, something that screwed it all up. And it turns out it was COVID. It came out 3 months later. I think the actual patient one was probably right around Saturn conjunct Pluto, and that I called it jackhammer. I called it jackhammer Tuesday or something. Jackhammer, because there's like a jackhammer coming down, boom, like creating cracks in the foundation. And sure enough, that's been the case. It's like everything is starting to reveal itself of anything prior to it. Not even directly tied, but just like, oh, now that this building fell down, what's this? Kind of thing.
Let the heart tell you the meaning of the things that are happening. Like, a lot of times we're pressed with these issues, we just want to run away from them. And like you were just saying, that if we let the heart tell us the meaning, we understand the purpose behind it, and then we take advantage of it. A lot of us took advantage of COVID. I did, and so because I understood the meaning of it, collectively. So I think if we allow our to be more heart-based in situations like that, we understand, like you were saying before, there's a reason for these to happen. There's a purpose to them, and we get to take advantage of it to our benefit. Some will, some won't. You know what I mean? Totally. And so,
well, I feel like people also, which I've always believed, and we haven't been told, is that I'm most of the reason for my health. Most. Like my consciousness, my will, my food, my diet, I am the reason why I'm anything, and what I allow to put in my body, and all that, it's all us. And even then, it's like with all the poisons and toxins and all the foods that we have in America, Americans are still going. Like it ain't stopping us; it's just slowing us down. Because we're so intent on those types of lives. But ultimately, I think part of it was that to learn is like, hey, maybe you can heal yourself. Maybe you can heal yourself. Like, what about that idea? What about the idea that you are actually the one controlling that, deciding that, the one who's behind it? Is that so bad?
How could we not? Yeah, how could we not? Yeah.
Yeah. And so
I was saying, like, how can we not be? I was saying, like, how can we not be the ones? responsible for that? You know, how can you just say like, oh, this happened out of nowhere? Like, how have you been loving your body for however many decades you've been alive? You know, like, are you nurtured to love into it?
We're not
and
taught
people
to
are taught that.
We're not taught to, no, nothing. I mean, we're taught to need products. We're taught to need products. That's what we're taught. You need this product, you need this product. That's what we're taught.
I have clients that they don't really just understand. Really, they need someone to guide them. They don't understand how to put their mindset just eating healthy. They just don't they get lost. You know, conscious. You know, I would say psychologically about it. You know, so. But I think that
we didn't have like home cooking. I mean, I had my mom cooking every day growing up, so it's like I had like this alternative anyways. And you know, Mama took her own opinion about what was good and healthy. You know, so if you didn't have that and you're just growing up like with you know, toasted wheats, then you see no option.
Yeah. But what I was going to say is like we have to set the boundaries now, right, and understand what we need and what we don't need, because that's the ultimate conclusion of when you're seducing the ethers. You have to understand your boundaries so you know what to play with. You know, that's not my sandbox over there. I'm not going to dive deep into that argument. That's not my sandbox there. I'm not going to try to fix those person's problems. And then you don't get wrapped up and over encumbered by all this other crap that's not actually engaging with your own reality and the universe around you. So setting the proper boundaries, I know it sounds cliche. We say it all the time, Christopher, about setting boundaries, but it really is understanding the parameters in your threshold. And so when you understand your threshold, I think that's a better terminology. Then you stop participating in things that drain you, stop participating in things that don't come from the heart, and then you're left to only deal with your heart. So I think that's the best way that we kind of can finalize, that essence of the heart.
It's super simple. If your heart ain't in it, don't do it. Like,
right.
If you don't, no, honestly, it sounds ludicrous to anyone else, but you have to just see how it works when you try it. Like, if you only just go after what your heart wants, you will find everything start to work out. It's crazy, but it's true. And you'll have to see it for yourself to believe it, nonetheless. So that's the basic stage of Chris right there, brother. We just did it. It was a good deep show from A to Z, was it not?
Yeah, sure.
I'm supposed to say something here.
So Ed to Zed.
Yeah. Well, I guess this is it for this week, but next week what we're supposed to do is power, purpose, and portal energy.
I was unaware of that. It was power, purpose, and portal energy. Okay. Say that 5 times fast, will you?
Yep. I think it's with Lionsgate, which will be about a week from this Friday, 8/8. And actually, I did some research. I'll be prepared to talk about Lionsgate and the history of it and how it has evolved and what it means today. So I look forward to that next week. So, if y'all.
Me too.
Yeah. All right. If you don't want to put up with the shift show, don't. Lead out loud.
Lead out loud.
I was like, who's going to close this? You or me?
So are we doing our talking thing now or what? What are we doing here? Just dance?
Are we happy?
Yeah.
I liked it. Although I got a couple of telepathic messages from you in the end. I couldn't quite catch it out. It was too much.
It was STFU. Shut the fuck up. No, I'm kidding.
I might have been. I felt it. I was like, hey, asshole. That's all I heard.
We didn't listen.
I didn't know it was you.